Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm John Peters. I'm a therapist who's been in practice for 25 years, working with thousands of patients to help people lower their anxiety and improve their mood. So, today I'm going to talk about using mindfulness to improve sleep quality. But before we move on, I want to share my favorite quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote, "Finish each day and be done with it. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense." Okay, so in today's video, I want to talk about using mindful breathing to improve sleep quality. And the reasons I want to share this with you is that sleep quality is something that is fairly reactive to stress. So, when we get into the moderate to higher zone on the stress scale, and that goes on for a while, then one of the things that is very common for people to report is that their sleep starts to get wonky. And sleep can get disturbed in a variety of ways. You can not get to sleep easily on the front end, or you can wake up too early and not be able to get back to sleep before your full sleep cycle is over. You can sleep your full sleep cycle and not feel rested in the morning. But basically, the one measure for sleep quality in general is, over the last 7 days, how many mornings did you wake up and feel rested, that you got enough sleep, right? So that's one question I throw out there sometimes just to get a sense of someone's overall sleep quality. But I'll talk in another video about sleep and kind of dive into working with good sleep hygiene and other methods to improve sleep. But in this video, I want to talk about one particular method, which is mindful breathing. And the reason that I throw this out is not because I think it's a good idea, but I think it's a good idea because of how I have seen it work with many, many patients that I've worked with. And I have found that it works in two ways. And so I want to explain those, because if you are open to experimenting with mindful breathing in your life, you are likely to get good benefits. But when I recommend it to people and talk about how it can help sleep, I want to clarify a couple of things. And so, thing number one is, if you use mindful breathing, and by the way, I'll put a link up at the top here if you want to go check out my how to practice video that just explains how to practice mindful breathing. But when you practice mindful breathing per my recommendations, which is 4 to 5 total minutes per day in multiple short sessions of 30 seconds to a minute at a time, if you do that during your waking time of each day, so you're not using it at the time of sleep, you're just doing it while you're awake. One of the most common benefits of that I hear back from people when they experiment with that is, if you're doing 4 to 5 minutes per day, within about a week or so, people tend to report that their sleep quality is improving. So improved sleep quality is a benefit that you get if you practice mindful breathing per my instructions, and you're doing it during your waking time of your day. Okay. And the explanation for this mostly is that regular mindful breathing practice lowers your baseline, so your average daily stress score. And when that baseline stress score goes down, sleep quality tends to go up, because when that baseline score goes up, sleep quality tends to go down, right? So the indirect way that you can use mindful breathing to improve sleep is just follow my instructions and do mindful breathing daily during your waking part of your day. And you very, very likely will notice that your sleep quality improved. It's one of the most common things I hear. And as I've said in other videos, I have taught this technique to thousands of people. So I've gotten thousands of bits of feedback from patients and students. And literally in the top 4 benefits of meditation, improved sleep quality is one of them. So you can get that way. But number 2, a lot of people ask, how can I use mindful breathing at the time of sleep? And I actually think this is a good idea. And so this may be something that you want to consider as well. But I want to modify my recommendation about general practice if you're going to use it at the time of sleep. And what I mean by that is part of my general recommendation is that you do 4 to 5 total minutes per day, and you're going to do multiple short sessions. Okay. This is a little different if you're using it while in bed, trying to sleep better, in real time, because number 1, I don't want you to count the time that you're doing mindful breathing in bed as part of your total daily goal. So if you're going to do 5 minutes a day per my recommendation, and you do some while you're trying to use it to sleep better, don't worry about tracking that time. We're not going to count time in bed while trying to sleep for your accumulated goal. That 5 minutes per day is only going to be practice that you do during your waking part of your day. So that's one difference. And then the other thing is, as I've said before and say repeatedly, I want you to, at the beginning of part of your practice, meaning for the first few weeks, I want you to only be doing 30 seconds to a minute at a time. We're going to relax that rule if you're doing it while trying to sleep better. So if you're in bed and you're going to do mindful breathing to try to go to sleep more quickly, let's say, or you wake up at 3 a.m. and you don't want to get up, and you want to try to get back to sleep, don't limit yourself to only doing a minute. In that situation, you can just do it as long as you want to do it. All right. Now, one reason that mindful breathing can help with sleep is that when you are in bed and you're trying to get to sleep, but you're not getting to sleep as quickly as you want, or you wake up in the middle of the night or early in the morning and at some point you realize that you're awake, part of the problem with that makes it a more complicated challenge is that if you're like me, at some point I get frustrated that I'm not asleep, right? So if I wake up at 3 a.m., at the moment where I realize I'm awake and I'm not going back to sleep readily, and then I might wake fully up, I start thinking things like, oh my God, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. This sucks. I've got stuff I need to do tomorrow and I don't want to be tired. So I add in what is called meta stress. And I made a video about meta stress. So if you want to go watch that video, I'll put a link up here if you want to see my discussion of meta stress and meta emotions. But basically, if you're awake and you're not getting to sleep, or you've woke up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep, if you induce meta stress, then that's actually going to trigger the stress response in your body. And that's a problem when your goal is to get to sleep, because the stress response pumps out multiple hormones, stress hormones into your body that are excitatory. They wake you up. It is their purpose to wake you up so you can be very alert to not get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, right? That's not a good time to take a nap. So your body is designed to wake you up when the stress response gets triggered, and the stress response is going to get triggered if you think those types of thoughts that I just shared with you. If I think, oh my God, this sucks, I don't want to be awake, that is negative thinking that quickly induces the stress response. It fans the flames of the stress response, and I'm going to be more awake if I do that. And one reason that mindful breathing, if you do it the way I recommend, helps with preventing the meta stress response in that situation is because it includes words, right? So if you're in bed, the method goes like this. You're in bed and you relax your body, it's just like the daytime practice, and you focus on your breath. So your chest and your belly are moving. You're breathing naturally. You're not trying to change your breath. And you're just saying in every time you breathe in your head, silently to yourself. And silently in your head, you say out every time you breathe in. So you're just lying there doing the same thing as you do during your waking practice, but you're lying there in bed and you're just going in, out, in your head. So not out loud. You're just saying in and out with the in phase and the out phase of the breath. You just do that over and over. And that is using words, which uses the word part of your brain, and that interferes with your brain using the word part of your brain to ramp up that inner dialogue that I just mentioned, which is, oh my God, if I don't get to sleep, I'm going to be tired tomorrow. Those are words, right? So in order to say that negative phrase, I have to use the word part of my brain to say that to myself in my head. And you prevent that inner negative dialogue by saying in, out with your breathing. This is why counting sheep helps people sleep, because 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4 sheep, those are words, right? And like concrete thinking, right? If you watch my video on concrete thinking, which I'll link up here if you haven't watched it, but concrete thinking helps with stress because it uses the word part of our brain to say simple words that are neutral in tone. So mindful breathing does that, counting sheep does that, and the various methods of concrete thinking do that as well. So if you're in bed, you're trying to get to sleep or get back to sleep, right? Try to head off at the pass the meta stress of getting stressed out about not being asleep. Just accept it. There you are. You're going to relax. And you're going to relax and breathe naturally. Be mindful of the breath. Say in when you breathe in and say out when you breathe out. If you don't get to sleep as quickly as you want, or you don't get to sleep at all, doing that practice will keep you in a calmer state. So you will get some of the benefits of sleep, even if you don't get fully asleep as much as you want, because the relaxed meditative state is similar to sleep in how it rejuvenates us. Also, it's going to prevent the ramping up of the stress response and that meta stress that likely would run counter to your goal of going to sleep and wake you up, right? So this is my instruction for using mindful breathing as a tool to sleep better, right? So method number 1 is skip doing it in bed, just do it when you're awake per my instructions, and you're likely to sleep better because your baseline stress level is going to go down. But method number 2, if you want, you can use it while trying to go to sleep in real time or get back to sleep. And because of what I described, it's likely to help you do that, right? So I'd be interested in your feedback. If you experiment with this, feel free to leave comments below. If you have questions or if you try it and it works or doesn't work, I enjoy comments because they help me learn about how people are experiencing the videos on the channel. And if you like the content, hit the like button and feel very free to subscribe to the channel. All right, I'll see you soon.